Hey guys, this is Blake here. Welcome to another episode of Kickass of Awesome. Today I'm going to be reviewing Legend of the Fist, The Return of Chen Zhen. It just rolls right off the tongue. And if I accidentally call it Fist of Legend, I apologize. I've been doing that so much whenever I describe this movie to anybody. It really confuses them. So this movie, I think, is either a flawed masterpiece or a glorious failure. There's a lot of stuff I like, a lot of stuff I dislike, and all in all, it just, I don't know, it's just a complete mess, but an often appealing one. So the film starts off where Donnie Yen plays Chen Zhen, and, this is in the middle of, I guess that'd be, was it World War I or World War II? Why can't I remember all of a sudden? Anyway, he saves his whole crew after the Allies pretty much stepped back and abandoned them. And this is the film's best sequence. The war sequences are really, really epic. They look great, and it's in a way it's part realistic, but also really stylized. So you'll have scenes where, like, Donnie Yen is able to dodge machine gun fire, but it's not in, like, a Matrix fantasy kind of way. It's just an exaggerated kung fu kind of way. But it looks really cool. I really like this scene, and the fights are, really fast, really slick, and really gritty as, Donnie Yen kills people with bayonets, and that's just awesome. After that, it kind of transitions into being a war thriller. It's taking place when the Japanese occupy Shanghai, and, Donnie Yen is part of the resistance. So Donnie Yen has to infiltrate this club where Japanese people like to go, and it focuses mainly on his relationships with the people he meets there. But then the movie gets even weirder when he starts donning a Kato costume, Kato from the Green Hornet, and becomes kind of like a comic book hero character and just fighting the Japanese. And I think that's really the problem with this movie, is that it wants to fit in so much, but at the same time has absolutely no idea how to do so without making things so convoluted and messy. So many characters in this movie just feel wasted. Like, Michael Wong, I believe his name is. He plays the club owner. I really like that guy. He's a great actor, but was he really needed in this movie? No. They have a love interest, and that's always going to be a problem, because usually love stories in these movies always come across as just shallow and bland. And there's even other relationships between the love interest and some of her friends, not romance, obviously. And then, of course, Donnie Yen's relationship with all of his fellow resistance people. They have a bad guy in there. It's too much seems to be happening, and it feels just like I said, it's a very convoluted mess. But what's weird is just how many different movies seem to be spliced into one. Like, I could buy the transition from, epic war scene to war thriller. Okay, that makes sense. I could see that happening. But when he starts becoming like a comic book hero, it's just like, whoa, that's kind of random and strange. And then it gets even worse by the end, because it starts going too far with the Bruce Lee homages. Obviously, if you're familiar with Bruce Lee's works, you'll know that this whole film is referencing Bruce Lee's works. But it just becomes distracting and confusing at times. Like when Donnie Yen starts doing the Bruce Lee squealing, it looks odd and out of place. We're supposed to be laughing when we just found out like 5 minutes ago that his sister had just been raped by one of the bad guys. Too much of an awkward transition in tone. And also, they kind of implicate that this might be the same Chen Zhen from Bruce Lee's Fist of Fury, because they kind of reference the events in that film, but it happens so late that I was wondering when. Why did they have this? It's too contrived, and I don't know, it just was handled really awkwardly. But at the same time, the film is just gorgeously shot. The film is directed by Andrew Law, who's probably known now mainly for Infernal Affairs, which is what was remade into The Departed with Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon. That's a really good film, but this film is more like his earlier CGI fest. Now, Andrew Law, when I first learned of him, it was when he did The Storm Riders, A Man Called Hero, and The Duel. You could kind of see those influences on this one, but this one's much less of a fantasy, and even though a lot of the backgrounds look computer generated. It's not like that computer generated. It's kind of has an air of realism, but it's obviously not. But I like that just because it made the film just look better for it. I mean, the film looks great. You know, sometimes I could forgive or accept questionable CGI if it just makes the film aesthetically interesting to look at, like the Green Lantern. Real awkward CGI, but it had so much color and texture that I enjoyed just watching it, probably more than the movie itself. I mean, I'm talking watching the movie, not necessarily... I kind of walked into a... You know, just it's nice to look at, but not necessarily a good movie. And with this one, like I said, it's beautiful to look at, and the cinematography is top-notch. The fight scenes, and obviously this is what everybody's going to be interested in, I like them in some ways and not in others. The fight scenes seem a little bit too quickly edited, and I don't know if they were sped up or if they just didn't slow it down. Because I know in some movies, like Jet Li's Kiss of the Dragon, I believe, they actually had to slow down the footage just so you could see his movements. I'm not sure if they just didn't do that here or if they sped up the film, because it almost seemed like Donnie Yen was moving too fast to the point where it was often difficult to tell what he was doing. Now, the flip side of this is that it makes the fights almost seem more realistic in a stylized way, because when Donnie Yen moves, I mean, he's moving really quickly, and you could definitely buy this guy as a kung fu badass. And the choreography is good, but not great. It's not like Yip Man good. It's almost as if it's more of a cinematographer's fight choreography than a choreographer's fight choreography. I know that sounded odd. Because it seems like the fight scenes are more interested in like his poses and, you know, how he's framed in the screen. So you'll have like a pretty cool backdrop or whatever while he does some sort of fighting sense while he's fighting or kicking somebody. It seems like it's more interested in the aesthetics of the fight rather than the fight itself, if that makes any sense. But, so I liked it in parts and not in others. It's just one of those movies that you're either going to really like the good or you're really going to hate the bad. And I think I preferred the good more than the bad, but it is definitely a flawed movie. It's nowhere near as good as Yip Man or Yip Man 2, but it is still better than most of Donnie Yen's earlier works. So all in all, I'd still recommend it for fans, definitely for Donnie Yen fans, because he does give a really good performance here, and the acting in general is good. But if you're not a big fan, obviously you're probably not watching this show, but I would say just go ahead and stay clear. Here is the trailer. I hope you enjoy it.